Well, hello everybody, and welcome to another edition of Rowing Chat. Now, today we have a very special program because we're pleased to welcome as our guests the founders of Glide Boats USA, Mark Wilson and Ryan Worth.
Hello. Thanks for having us, Rebecca.
Good to be here.
Yeah, well, Ryan is a new face to me, and of course Mark has been on the podcast before in different guise, but it's great also to hear about something that is completely new. How did Glide Boats get started?
Glide Boats has started from an interest of wanting to get more people access to a sliding seat and a rowing rigger in an affordable and robust and enjoyable way that allows people to enjoy the rowing motion without the anxiety that oftentimes a rowing single also provides. So we're super happy to be able to offer 3 different products, all manufactured in the United Kingdom by a wonderful man named Paul Godsafe, who is the founder of Glide Boat. And we are his North American arm of distributorship. And Ryan graciously joined me in this little endeavor, and we're partners to the end as we think about this whole new business line. But we're really excited and look forward to sharing some of the details with you guys today.
Ryan, what's your personal background in rowing?
Yeah, I started in high school, later in high school, and then I continued into college. But while I was in college and competing as a club rower at Tennessee Knoxville, I was also working in the outdoor program. So I was also working in outdoor recreation programming, hiking trips, backpacking, whitewater kayaking, and climbing. So as I started coaching while I was a college athlete, I also had this interest in instructing in other outdoor activities. And I've remained a rowing coach since college. I've done some longer trips, and I like to adventure by oar. And that was something that has come up before. Mark and I both also share an interest in whitewater boating, which outside of the rafts, you traditionally never row. So to me, one of the things that's exciting about the Glide Boats and these models that are roto-molded and are built in this robust fashion with a nod to rougher water conditions is that we're going to be able to start rowing in more cool places.
Wow, of course. So rotational molded, injection molded plastic is what we're talking about here.
Yep, all 3 of the products.
Just like a kayak would be that you see anywhere on the beach or on rivers and so on. So it's the same basic manufacturing process. And the neat thing that Paul has done in the design is inserted all of the metal fittings into the mold so that all of the connection points are sturdy, robust, and in the same place every time. So the boat itself is really nicely designed that way for the rigger attachment, footboards, and so on.
You've got me curious. Show us the products.
Well, we've got 3 different products, and Ryan's going to go into a little bit more detail on each one. But just to give you an idea, we as a company invested in the first order was 48 boats. We ordered a good number of each of the different hull designs that Paul has come up with from Glide Boats, and we've already ordered. That was in January. So the picture that you're seeing on your screen was in the middle of January. And we just ordered our second container of boats today, actually, and today is March 8th here in the United States. And we're super happy to be ordering another container of boats. So the products are varied, and they have varied uses, and different people and different body types might be looking at, and different program users might be looking at the boats differently. But I'll let Ryan go into each one of those a little bit more in detail.
Sure. So yeah, it's the Glide 1 and the red hull that we're looking at on the screen that's closest to our flatwater racing trainers. So it's at 21 feet. It'll carry a crew of up to 95 kilograms or about 220 pounds comfortably. You can stretch that a tiny bit, but it better be flat water. The rigger is the same across all three models. So all three models share exactly the same rigger, and they have an adjustment built in the foot. It's very similar to the light boat manufacturers' riggers for their coastal and recreation singles. The one and the shortest boat, the Solo, share a seat, and they all share tracks. The one and the Solo also share foot stretchers, and we can see the padded seat, which also floats, which is nice. Most of the fittings are Martinoli. It's the Italian brand. So pretty simple. And one of the things that's notable about the Solo and the one is that the foot stretchers do not have adjustability bow to stern. So it's simple heel cups with a strap. So water shoes, no water shoes, socks, barefoot, whatever you're comfortable with. The rigger moves easily. 4 pins which retain the riggers. So 2 stay in place, and the other 2 let the rigger slide in and out of the rigger slot.
Really, is it like a side sort of pin?
Yes. So the rigger on both sides sits in U-shaped brackets with the block that goes in, and it's got a foot at the stern side to slide under the stern pins, and then at the bow side it's got pins that go in. So you can move the rigger really quickly just by with those 4 pins bow to stern to adjust for different size rowers.
And with the quick removable rigger as well, it allows storage of all the boats to be very easy as well. So the riggers can be popped off literally in 5 seconds, and then you could store the rigger on the wall and then stack the boats up with much less footprint in your boathouse, or putting it on your car or moving it somewhere else. So it makes it very easy to store as well.
Absolutely. And the trainer does, we've got a video clip here of a guy who used to row, doesn't row, hasn't been on a sliding seat in a while. And it was actually a pretty high current day. This is in Knoxville, Tennessee last week. So we're getting, fairly cool water, being conscious of that, but a sunny day and getting out and taking some strokes again. They do one of the things we've been so pleased with the glide boats is how well they do across different weight ranges. And so they're great for programming with really young athletes, but they're also going to handle your full size adults quite well. And with the span adjustment on the riggers, we've got almost 5 centimeters on both sides of the rigger. So, we're been setting most of the boats about 159 centimeters. And you got room to play both ways of that. So rigging really narrow for tiny little, middle school, elementary age rowers, or getting quite big for larger rowers or people that are doing loaded touring. So the one which is playing in the video here with some other racing singles isn't really that. But as we look at the other 2 models, that's where it's one of the things we're getting excited about is the new places that we're going to row and the new reasons we're going to be able to row. Overnight camping trip. Okay. I look at it as the touring bicycles of rowing, if you will.
I like that idea.
Right. So
one of the things that we're trying to do is, and as a company, is not just provide rowing shells or a new type of rowing shell to rowers, but actually expand the market, trying to put more people into new craft to expand the actual sport of rowing in the United States, specifically in North America, more specifically for our company. But I think that's one of the things that Ryan, with his background in outdoor recreation and adventure touring, and then my background in coaching and coaching education, and also the desire to be outside, I think these boats will really grow the entire market and have people really trying boats in different bodies of water all across North America, which will just be really fun. That's our goal.
And we're also going to start seeing more first ascents and descents of rivers by sliding seat rowboat, right? Like these are places that we've kayaked and we've canoed for decades, and maybe we can drive John boats or motor boats on, and we might go there for fishing, but people just have written them off for rowing. This is a photo from the Hiawassee River at a public boat ramp, and it's a tributary of the Tennessee. You could row there from the head of the Hooch venue via one lock through a dam. But it was moving very fast. The surface flow out in the middle was at almost 4 miles per hour. You know, it was at 4.5 kilometers an hour. So you had to really be moving to stay in it. But right at this boat ramp, there's an eddy. And it's only 100-meter long little eddy. But this is a guy who had never taken a stroke on a sliding seat ever until the day that he saw this boat. And he was able to sit in it without tipping. You can sit in it on land and check rigging, and then you can push off. And just sitting in the eddy and then poking out into the current and rowing in place. You know, we never went more than 200 meters, but spent an hour on the water having a great time. And it was it was a safe platform. And it's just, you spend a lot more time more smiles per stroke. But,
and don't get us wrong, we're not trying to not provide a product for current rowers, because we have had an awful lot of rowers like this young man who's rowed an awful lot, and coaches and so on. But it just opens up a new avenue. And for the folks that do want to try rowing, who maybe have gone through some learn to rows, or maybe they're very competent in their sculling ability, but want to try new water or new seasons, you know, breach the seasons of their local waterway, the glide boats really do provide a safe option for that. So the ability to get out in different seasons is certainly doable.
So you mentioned the Glide One is the narrowest, kind of top of the range, closest to a racing fine single shell. What are the other two that you've shown us photographs of?
Yeah, so the Tide is in this photo, the green one. It's on the left, and that is the coastal model. It actually meets FISA's coastal spec for coastal racing, and it's at 16 feet long, and it's also built with a thicker plastic. So it's at FISA's weight minimum of 78 pounds, and just right at it. So the Solo is the other one. It's the gray one in this photo, and then going to this photo, it's this orange one that we have here. The Solo is 13 feet long, and without the rigger on, weighs barely 40 pounds. So you can take 2 pins, remove your oars and your rigger, anything else you've sat in the boat, and then you've got a 13-foot long, 40-pound plastic shell that you can set flat on the ground. You can stack sideways on the floor. You can do whatever you need to with it, really. And, you know, an individual person with the help of a kayak dolly can easily pull the bow up on shore, a boat ramp. You know, this particular place in Miami launched from the side of like a 6-foot wall. You just kind of had to lower the boats down and then climb down. And it's stable enough at 30 inches wide that you can sit in the boat and then put the rigger on it if you want to, and you feel comfortable doing that.
And I can see carry handles at the bow and the stern there.
Yep. So carry handles, and also indents at the midpoint in line with the pin on both sides.
That you can molded plastic indents.
Yeah. So there's finger grooves or grip grooves along both sides. And here's a photo of somebody rowing one, and it was a narrow spring run. And again, this is a place where I guarantee you, no one else has taken a sliding rigger rowing shell before, a sliding seat rowing shell before, maybe an oar board. Right. And so we're going to start seeing overlap in all the different cool places the oar board has gotten people to take oars. And you can just turn around and paddle with a canoe paddle if it's going to be narrower than you want to mess with your oars.
Yeah, this girl's just letting the sculls just drag.
While
she kneels and looks forward, or she's sitting on the seat, actually.
Yeah, she's sitting on the seat. Sorry, there's that. And here we can go back to a screen share, and I'll pull up a quick video. That's this person's third time ever in a sliding seat rowing boat. And again, we went out on, you know, it's got flow. This is popular as a tubing run. This is in North Florida. So this is, you know, the end of February. And there's ripples in the water from current flowing over shallow rocks, but they're deep enough for the boat and the oars. And even if the fin were to scrape over something, as long as you're moving forward, it's not going to hurt a thing.
Well, she's moving pretty sweetly there. It doesn't look like she's only done 3 lessons.
So, and well, you got the stability to be comfortable. And then more proficient rowers are going to find that it's going to open up the days that we consider rowable days.
Yeah, so this video is a pretty rough day. The athlete's got her hood up. It looks like it's raining, and there's, I don't know, probably 8 inches of waves.
Yeah, this is about 15 to 20 mile an hour sustained winds. This was in DeLand, Florida at Lake Beresford. So it's got 3 kilometers of fetch across this lake. But, just being able to get out, as long as you've got enough control as a sculler to be able to keep the boat pointed into the wind or in the direction you want to travel, they really are a sweet little ride. They do a great job of going where you want them to go. And making
this woman weighs about 105 pounds as well.
Oh, so
and we've had people as big as 240, Ryan.
I was closer to 250 with gear and stuff, rowing one a couple weeks ago.
In the same boat,
exact same hull.
Yeah.
So basically that's between 50 and 120 kilos for the hard of hearing.
Yeah, you could go below that too, because the boat, as you get down to 50 kilos, you could have kids even smaller, still figuring it out. And as much as you're going to have a 50-kilo kid rowing, it's going to be great.
Now, talk us through the different fin arrangements. So we've gone back to a photograph. I think this is the Tide, which is your coastal boat.
So let me just touch on that a little bit. We've got in the Glide 1, which is the more of the race trainer boat, that's got a metal fin. It's very similar to an MPOC or Felipe kind of fin. It's the same idea, and it also has a metal insert for the fin box. So it's a very secure fitting for the fin in that boat. It's not plastic, it's metal fitting. And then in the Glide Solo, that's the one that we were just chatting about with the retractable fin. It's actually got a fixed point up for travel and a fixed point down with a shock cord that holds the fin in the water. And it really, it's pretty cool the way it's designed. So as Ryan said, if you hit something, it just pops back up and it's all good. In the Glide Tide, which is this one, they come with a surfboard or a stand-up paddleboard fin as standard, metal fin box as well. The normal key for that, so it's a thumb screw, and you can just take it out and put it right back in. It's about probably 15, 20 second maneuver to take the fin out. And they're also very inexpensive. So if you did break one off, with a beach landing or something like that, they're very inexpensive, $15 US, kind of thing. So if it's a good thing to have an extra one, just in case you get adventuresome to the extreme and end up going a little bit far afield. The other thing with the rigger is that we have plenty of height adjustability as well, which is just like a normal rowing shell. So there's lots of rigging ability in the boats. And again, we've had big people, small people, and everybody is rowing appropriately. As a rowing coach, I want to make sure that people are feeling comfortable, but also are rigged properly to avoid any injury or or doing things incorrectly. So the idea of the legs, body, arms in sequence, making sure the finish is at an appropriate angle to protect the elbows and wrists, all of those things are really, really valuable. And all of the boats are designed so that the rigging dimensions are pretty much exactly like they would be in your own racing double or racing single.
And you can see in the photograph you've got there quite clearly that the rigger here is adjusted toward the bow, and you've got space on the black metal to move the rigger toward
the guide that holds the rigger onto the boat actually is also adjustable on the boat. So there's 3 different fittings for that runner to be on the gunnel of the boat as well. So in the Glide Tide, there's an awful lot of adjustability in the boat. Foot stretcher movement, heel height movement up and down, just like on the ergometer. The seat height will be, all of our new boats that we're getting will have an adjustable undercarriage. So the undercarriage itself can raise and lower. So lots of great, simple, but really nice adjustability in the boat so that anybody can really get feeling like they should in a boat. This is a gentleman who just finished rowing camp down here in Florida. He did 20 kilometers in the glide tide in a single row. And at the end of it, he was tired, like everybody else was after 20K of rowing around a very interesting course. But he did a great job, and he's about 230 pounds, which is a little over 100 kilograms, and just had a great time.
Yeah. And, that's right at the stated limit for the tide. Again, it is a FISA compliant boat. So anybody thinking about FISA coastal racing, beach sprints, the endurance, and this boat can be used as a racer. Well, you add flotation. So that's the one piece. They're built with a single cavity. So all you have to do is add flotation bags like you would for a whitewater kayak. And then even if you split your hull apart, you're still not going to sink.
Always reassuring. Safety first.
Also, the glide tide comes with a standard throw bag, which is also part of the FISA coastal requirement, and a safety whistle as well. So they're putting in those things, and lash points. You've seen the lash points, shock cord lash points to the stern side for your life jacket, your PFD, as well as anything else that you might want to bring along. So all of those things are brought right into the boat as standard.
And those buoyancy aids, they're included as well. Not the buoyancy aids, the bags to go inside under the hatch.
Those are additional. Most people would not need those unless you're at a FISA type of event. So we can certainly source those for folks if they want those, but that would be slightly additional. They're not very expensive.
Yeah. There's some add-ons like that. The 2-wheel cart that I had made mention of earlier.
Oh, yeah.
Just we're going to be borrowing a lot. And this is a statement more as a sport in general with coastal rowing and the doubles and quads. A lot of the way that we're used to moving our equipment in and out of the water from venue to venue and then storing it is going to shift more to what looks like at yacht clubs and with sailing dinghy programs. They're moving bigger dinghies that are heavier. That's our coastal quads. And even our coastal doubles are almost, sometimes with some water in them, it's easily 200-pound boat for a 2-person crew. You want that weight on the water, and the tide does a nice job of walking that balance as a single. That's from a racing or a rower's perspective, it is a race-minded boat, but because it's race-minded for the surf, it's got a lot of stability and a lot of extra buoyancy. It is a wet boat. If we want to do a screen share just for the folks that are able to see video, we do have some clips of the tide being rowed in other ways. Another thing that's a lot of fun is from a coach's perspective with the tide and the solo is how maneuverable they actually are. They turn really easily when you want them to turn while still running straight when they're given, straight propulsion. So it's less of the racing single where you might feel a little bit of a drag to one side or the other. The boat really tells you what it's feeling in flat water conditions. So in flat water, it's really rewarding with a lot of feedback, but then you can get into bumpier water. And so here's a smaller sculler who is in the glide tide out on a little bit of a windy day, a little bumpy, and still able to move it along nicely. I think that's something that flat water racers are going to see boats that weigh 80 pounds and feel like that weight is going to be very present on the handles as you take a stroke, but it's not, right? It's just like, it's kind of like rowing a double with one person sitting out, but it's more like rowing a quad with only 3 of the rowers as far as the difference you feel from a racing single down to a coastal.
Now you've got a photograph there of another boat design. How do the prices compare with equivalent boats from other manufacturers?
The glide boat price point is by far the least. We would encourage people, if they're looking at various manufacturers, to certainly look at all of them. What we like to say is that everybody's making a good boat. everybody's making a really good boat actually right now. And
Yeah.
so it does come down to price point, but also some of the features that are different in the glide boat versus some of the other boats. Many of the other boats are either a carbon or a fiberglass hull. They're gel coat. So the fragility of those hulls are going to be a little different than the plastic, right? And then obviously the plastic is going to be less expensive because from a manufacturing standpoint, it's much easier and much faster to make a single hull in a single element, if that's the right word, rather than layering different things together and so on. So, and painting and the finish work and so on. So there's much less labor involved in building a glide boat. And the price point shows that. So significantly different. Our boats are all under $4,000 US, and that's brand new and ready to go. And some are actually closer to $3,000 than $4,000, but everything's under $4,000. So hopefully that's clear.
So what's new? What's on the horizon? I know you're a new company as of earlier this year, but what have you got planned?
I think one of the things that we have planned is to try to, again, and I'll just say it a little differently. We're trying to get more people involved in the sport. So there's an awful lot of people that use Concept 2 ergometers, that use the new hydro machine, that use RP3s as a fitness tool and not really as a training tool for their rowing. I know Concept 2 has been making ergometers for 40 years now, and they sell many, many, many more rowing machines or indoor ergometers, indoor rowers to non-rowers. We would like to try to capture some of those folks and encourage them to try rowing on the water that the rest of us have all seen and enjoyed and done for decades. And so therefore trying to literally grow the sport of rowing. One of the things that Ryan wants to do is to bring rowing to new waterways, which we've kind of discussed. And then the other idea is to offer adventures, camping, and so on for young people. Just like if you're going on a canoeing trip in the Adirondacks, for example, or in northern Minnesota to the Boundary Waters, well, these boats can do all the same thing. You can take a group of smaller or younger folks that have that adventuresome kind of mindset and load them down with their gear and off they go. And there's nothing better than being under your own power and then sleeping out under the stars and enjoying the work that you've done in a new place every night. So I think these are all things that we see, I think, talking with Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, YMCA camps, and enhancing the sliding seat type of rowing, as opposed to when I was a Boy Scout way back when, it was the 12 to 14 foot aluminum boat with the fixed seat and the fixed pins and all of that. So I think this is a evolutionary kind of change. And I think that those kind of programs will just thrive, seeing a sliding seat and a boat that they can pull up on the beach and go to new places with. Ryan, you got something else to add there?
Well, yeah, I mean, you just repeating some of what you said. It's the going to new places with new people. It's every age, a lot of abilities. Rowing's already really good at that. And one of the things that it limits a lot of programs from going from, I found rowing this way, and I would love to see my community have rowing. That thought actually, I think, crosses a lot of people's minds. I think we need to row here on this, this pond, this back slough, this wherever we are. And a lot of the places where people get stopped before actually starting a rowing group or getting more people on the water is they get stopped by what type of equipment. How are we going to safely get people here? And, it could be places like out west in the eastern Washington State desert where the Columbia, the Snake, the Yakima, they're big wandering flat, lazy rivers that have a lot of shallow spots, like the Chattahoochee in Atlanta. These are boats that you can run into the sandbar, or heck, the reef, really, if you had to, and you're still going to row that boat the next day. So, that I think it's helping break some of the inherent barriers to our sport, and that's a really exciting thing. But it's also going to break the barriers of where we're going while we're rowing.
Tell the listeners where they can get a hold of you.
The website's on the bottom of the screen right now. It's Glide Boats with an S, USA. And we're on the web every day, and email, phone calls, all our contact information is there. And we love to hear from people. And Ryan's going to be heading to the Northeast in April, early April, with a load of boats heading up already. We've got boats heading to Michigan. We've got boats heading to Wisconsin. We've got boats heading to Ohio. We've already got boats in Kentucky, Tennessee, South Carolina, Massachusetts already. And we've only been in business for basically 6 weeks, so it's pretty great. And we're like I said before, we're bringing in our second container, but we really would encourage people to kind of look at our website, and we're going to be enhancing that. And any ideas that people have, that's great too. We're looking at California. We're going to be definitely sending boats out to California, Bay Area, North Bay Area, as well, because that's just another fantastic place to row in a very, a robust kind of boat like the Glide Tide, for example, or the Glide Solo, specifically on San Francisco Bay or some of the other waterways out there. So anywhere there's water, you can take a glide boat. So
if someone would like to try one, should they get in touch with you?
Absolutely. Yeah. We have an ambassador program that we've just started over the weekend, and we've already got people that have own their boats that have already taken delivery, who want to share their experience and share the ability of people around them to try. So between Ryan and myself and these other folks that are out in the rowing world, we're really, really excited about the community that's coming around and being brought into place. But yeah, demoing a boat is great, and we'd love to put people into them. We can't be every place all the time, right away. So we're kind of going from Florida and from Tennessee north as the season allows. So that's kind of the logistical plan for us right now. But happy to talk to folks. We've got a young man in Canada who's all gung ho. He can't wait for the ice to melt up there and get a boat and stuff too. So our territory is all of the Caribbean islands, Central America, all of North America, Mexico, United States, Canada. And so we're going to try to service them the best we can. And if Paul can keep building us boats, we're going to do our best to get them out there to folks. So,
yeah.
Mark, Ryan, it's been a delight to have an early ringside seat to the developments at Glide Boats. And I wish you all the success as you build your business out. And to all our listeners, go to glideboatsusa.com and you can pick up all of the details to contact the guys and take a look at some of the videos that they've got of the boats on there. I've been Rebecca Caro, and this has been Rowing Chat. Thank you for coming on the journey with us. Tell your friends, and if you have a moment, we'd appreciate a review. Till